Well, we've got more information tonight on a dramatic story that unfolded over Canada's Pacific coast. A passenger plane bound for South Korea forced to divert yesterday afternoon, escorted by two fighter jets, American F-15s. It made an emergency landing on Vancouver Island. The reason? A threat of a bomb on board. Today, we know there was no bomb. Chris Brown has more about what else we know. Chris.
Well, Peter, this incident turned out okay, but it is a reminder of the vulnerabilities of commercial aircraft and of the grim calculations that have to be made. They should have been enjoying breakfast in Seoul, Korea. Instead, 149 passengers woke up on Vancouver Island this morning after a dramatic detour.
And then I just asked, what's going on? And she said, somebody threatened. So they're going to find, bombs. So I was shocked. Oh.
Yesterday, Korean Airlines Flight 72 was about an hour into its flight to Seoul when the pilot announced they were turning around and they wouldn't be alone.
Don't worry if you see a couple of jet fighters escorting us in.
Two U.S. F-15 fighters under the command of NORAD flew alongside the plane until it landed in Comox. Police went through the luggage, interviewed passengers, and combed the plane for any sign of a bomb. It was the second time in as many days that Flight 72 was a target of a bomb threat. Both calls say the airline came from a man with an accent calling from a Vancouver phone number. But why scramble the fighter jets and why land in Comox instead of nearby Vancouver? This security expert says the military's standard operating procedure is to assume a worst-case scenario.
And the death toll would be humongous if it exploded over a city like Vancouver. So the purpose of the jets is to guide the plane to a safe area, where if there's going to be an explosion, it would not cause too much loss of life.
They could, of course, shoot the plane down too. As alarming as that sounds, passengers seem to know and understand the drill.
I just think they have to do what they have to do, right? There's some threat, and I mean, it's crazy. There's some craziness in the world, so that's okay. But now it's really digging into our time and getting our work done.
Finally today came the all clear, and 24 hours late, the flight was back on its way to Seoul. That extensive search didn't turn up anything unusual on the flight, and now a number of agencies are involved in the investigation. Peter.
Chris, it's Canadian airspace, so why was it American fighter jets that escorted the plane?
Well, NORAD says Canada has a number of CF-18s armed and ready to go at its base in Cold Lake, Alberta, but in an emergency, the agency says it's the closest planes that get the call, and in this case, they happen to have come from Portland, Oregon. However, the security expert we heard from earlier says Canada should have enough of its own planes to patrol its own west coast.
We do not have the plane capability to defend our own airspace. Now, there's a long debate going on in Canada. Do we buy more planes? Do we not? I think we should, because if we're going to be part of an alliance like that with the United States and belong to NORAD, we should be able to carry part of our own weight.
It's fair to note, though, Peter, that Canadian aircraft do conduct operations on the American side of the border. Peter.
All right, Chris, thank you. Chris is near the Vancouver airport tonight.